All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We have a Beretta Nano today, which no longer made by Beretta, was a concealed or is a concealed carry type pistol. And I got this one. It's a person's everyday carry, so you'll see some signs of wear on it in the typical areas, like from, where it's always in someone's holster. So we'll clear the weapon first. You just notice here, right, some of that everyday use. We're missing some of the nighttime sight stuff missing, out of the back, the rear sight. And it comes with two magazine varieties. One holds 6 rounds. That's what I'm putting in here. And you notice my hand doesn't fit real good. Fits their hand pretty good. And then you have what they call the extended mag. It holds 8. And they came up with that, and you get that. I can get that little pinky there on it, which works out good. So I'll check it again just to make sure. Let the tension off, and like a lot of concealed carry pistols, that you see, like you've seen it with the Taurus Millennium I did a few weeks back. This one has like a little screw where you have to turn it 90 degrees, and there's actually a mark on it. You turn it to 90 degrees, and then when you kind of rack it back a little bit, then you depress the trigger. It allows the slide to come off. I had a little bit of trouble initially with it. It was just kind of, it wasn't really working like it was supposed to. It was just kind of fighting me. But there we go. It comes off, you know, not an issue anymore. And of course, then we get the slide off. The gentleman I'd gotten it from, he had just finished taking it to shooting range, indoor shooting range, and he said he'd put about 100 through it. And he asked me, he was like, can you just kind of give it the once over? He didn't complain of any shooting issues, or any kind of, light strikes or anything like that. He's like, I know it's nasty. And of course he was honest. He was like, I haven't cleaned it in months, and this is an everyday carry for him. And of course that has its own issues. The sweat, the water, the salt from your body, the natural oils and all that come out of your body too. Um, they're hell on the bluing on any firearm, and even modern stuff. So the whole point here was I've told him I'd go a little bit beyond the basic field strip. I told him I'd break the whole sight down, that I wasn't going to go into the firing mechanism like the fire control group unless it absolutely looked necessary, which it didn't. And then we go from there. So this is the thing, and these next few minutes are going to be sped up. So getting the striker and the extractor and everything out of this slide was really a pain. The way that it works is that, and you'll see me here fight with, different size punches, with some of like even the ones that come in my like wheel or toolkit there. What you're supposed to do here is that you depress the striker block, which it's kind of hard to see, but you'll see me push on it from like it's inside the slide. It kind of holds the striker and the extractor pins and spring in place. What you do though, and you'll finally see me do it here in about a minute and a half, is you push the striker block in. Then with my left thumb, I hold down the striker itself. And then what you need, a punch don't do it. The manufacturer will tell you, or Beretta will tell you that a punch will do it, but punches aren't small enough. What I finally got was a jeweler screwdriver, and at the back of the slide, and you see me scratching at it and cleaning there so I can actually see what's going on. You depress down the extractor pin, the longer of the two extractor pins, mind you, and then you're able to slide the back plate off. So you almost need three hands. And like I said, they tell you that you can just do it with a very small punch, and that is not true. It's not at all. I tried a different variety of like screwdrivers to help my poor thumb hold everything down before I finally got this thing off. But man, the process of getting of getting this back plate off was really annoying. It made me have a little bit of appreciation for how easy a Glock is to do it, because you can just slide the little black like carbon sheath down and it'll come off, which is great. So yeah, success. Um, and here real second, you'll see exactly what I was just describing to you while, my hands were flying in the last video. So here we go, right? So you see me, right? There we go. Push in the striker block, hold the striker down with my finger. Yeah, well, like I said, you need three hands almost. I'm using the screwdriver there to try and hold down the firing pin spring, but you really don't need it. But there you go. You see how I just slipped the jeweler screwdriver in there, and then voila, out comes the firing pin spring, which kind of cheap construction. It's just a spring wrapped around some plastic. And then here now, I'll get the striker out. I mean, once you get this back plate off, everything is easy. There's a striker, there's a striker return spring, and the extractor is held in by a long pin. We'll get to it in a second. This is me looking at some of the other things going on. But the extractor is held in by a long pin, which you can see me trying to get it out. It's kind of gooped in there. And then a spring, and then up towards where the extractor is, there's a smaller extractor pin. Oh, I thought I did that next, but anyway, we'll walk through just some of the cleaning here. There was a lot of buildup around the end of the firing pin, which, judging or going off of what the owner told me, he was shooting up some old ammunition he had that was loose. He's just trying to clear it out, trying to get rid of it. He didn't know the age, he didn't know the type, he didn't know anything, he couldn't remember, and he said, I just went to the range. I had a gallon Ziploc bag full of 9mm. Hey, I'm just trying to burn up this ammo and kind of get it done. And it's like, okay, well, I get it. I'll take a look at it, and we'll kind of go from there, just to make sure too that the outside's not really showing kind of rust. Cleaning this thing is really easy. The hardest part of it for me was getting the slide apart. And, it was not kind. It was not kind to me at all. But once I got that back plate off, it was wide open from there, just kind of getting things. Oh, and I forgot about this. One thing I noticed here is, right, cheap plastic with a spring wrapped around it, something that we ran into similarly with the Taurus Millennial. Um, the part of the plastic part where it actually touches against the back plate was showing a lot of wear. And you can still find parts for the Beretta Nano, but not a lot. And my concern is are they still, selling them with the cheap plastic in the center? And most likely. And I just kind of let the owner know, and he's like, well, what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean anything. It could mean something down the road, especially if you take it apart more to clean it and everything, kind of like a deep cleaning and whatnot as time goes on. The more that you are kind of holding it down and taking the back plate off and maybe scratching and rubbing that, that plastic. Plastic wears, right? Especially when it comes in contact with, with metal. So over time, that overall length of that plastic piece could shorten, and then you're going to end up having, a whole lot more issues, um, like with everything moving. So, so here we go, right? A little push there in the extractor. It's like it kind of wanted to come out. That's because the small extractor pin is right there. And the best thing I had that would actually push it out was these long stick Q-tips that I had. But you can see there, extremely, like I asked him, I said, well, how, have you ever broken the slide down completely? And he's like, well, no, I I don't really have the tools. I'm not equipped. So this is the best part of this. My camera overheated and I lost all the footage from here. So what I did is I just went through the assembly and disassembly and assembly again for y'all because like halfway. So you see here, I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel on what I did, right? Turn the screw 90 degrees, slightly rack it back. You can then, take the slide off. You see me taking the barrel and the recoil spring out. Now watch this. Watch how fast this goes this time. Yeah, it was really annoying. I laugh at it now, but the first time when I took that thing apart, I must have fought with that thing for 30 minutes. I sped it up fast for y'all so you didn't have to watch me just kind of fumble around with it and almost look like an idiot. But so you see here, here we go. This is the long extractor pin, right? And then the next piece out, that is the striker block. That's the thing you saw me pushing in. And then there's the striker block spring kind of welded down into that hole, right? You see it? And then the last little bit doesn't always want to come out. There's the extractor itself. Last little bit, you can see me kind of scratching out. There's the extractor spring. And in a moment, it wanted to fight me both times, and I ended up having to use the stick here to kind of push it out. And there's the small one. So now there's everything disassembled, and we're just going to turn around and step back into reassembling it. So just kind of give it a wipe off. Mind you, I've already cleaned it at this point, but after reassembling it before, just kind of give it a wipe off. So we put the extractor back in. Then we take the small extractor pin and it just kind of like slides down in the groove. Once you push it all the way down and push it into place, the extractor is in a little better. Then you push the extractor spring in. At this point, you put the striker block spring and then the striker block back in. It's actually the long extractor pin that holds the striker block in, right? Like you don't have to like shove it in. Once it's there, see it's there. There's no tension really on the extractor at this point, but everything's in place. And we'll go ahead and give a little wipe off again to the striker and the striker return spring. The next thing, you'll slide those in back into like the little chamber area for the striker, but you have to push the striker block down just a little bit in order to get it to go in, right? And you'll see here, I'd done this before, but of course that piece of the footage died, when my camera overheated. Put a little oil back on it, a little less than last time was part of the reason why I had to, wipe it off. Then we'll put the firing pin spring in, and now here we go. So how hard is it to put it back together? It's really not. You just kind of go in reverse. You feed in the little back door there just a little. Push that extractor back down. I went right back together. Easy, easy. Not the pain and frustration that happened the first time. But and you can just see here, I'm just using the punch just to make sure that everything is, working again, checking the tension, making sure that the extractor is flexing and everything. So then we put the barrel back in, recoil spring back in. Mind you, everything has been cleaned before. I'm just showing you all again. Didn't want to leave you hanging. And then this, the way it's supposed to work is that when you rack it that first time, that pin will spin around. Like, you shouldn't have to do what I'm trying to do here, and it was just being frustrating. So I took it back apart. I put it back at the 90 degrees, and then still didn't quite want to do it. Back to 90 degrees. Now watch. You see how it twisted? Snapped around, went up and down. Now the firearm is locked together. Firearm pin's working. We got an action, so it's all good. And then, of course, y'all missed this the first time too. I'm pointing here just some of the high traffic areas, right? The areas where the holster is really rubbing on the material. And all I'm doing here is just applying a little bit of COP to the outside. They call this conditioning the metal, which I've always thought is like, that's an awfully weird way to talk about what it is you're doing. You're putting that oil back on the frame, or back on the metal, in the frame, to protect it. And COP, the military's been using it forever. It's good stuff. You're not gooping it on there. I wipe off a little bit of the residue, and that is it. So I hope y'all enjoyed it, and thanks. We'll catch you next time.